Hey yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Phoenix Pals Podcast, aka P3, episode 2. I'm your host with the most, Black Phoenix. We're going to be talking about a lot of good things here coming in this episode. We're going to be touching on the small stuff here with the NBA stuff with the Warriors and Trailblazers, Thunder defeating the Spurs, and then the NFL news with retirement and just small itty bitty news. But the main thing we're going to be talking about this episode is the Madden NFL 17 cover athlete reveal. We're going to be talking about the athlete himself, and we're going to be talking about how he kind of affects the game of Madden 17 and what that potentially could mean for the game itself. We're also going to be talking about the features of it. We're going to be kind of giving you guys a little bit of a description of Madden 17, what is written on the online page of it. And we're also going to be talking about a SimStandard radio interview with Rex Dickson that called in. We're going to be talking about the interview itself, and we're going to be also offering our thoughts on how what Rex Dickson actually said and how I feel about what he said in regards to Madden NFL 17 on the first day of the cover reveal. So this is going to be interesting. Hang on to your seats, folks. In the meantime, let's get into the sweating the small stuff. And right now, the Warriors have defeated Trailblazers, obviously going on to the Western Conference Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder defeat the Spurs and move on to face the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. To me, this is going to be probably the most interesting matchup here between the Warriors and Thunder. The Thunder have lost three games in the regular season to the Warriors, including choking a fourth quarter lead. Steph Curry hitting that fantastic shot from about half court or a little bit maybe past half court. So it's going to be interesting to see how the playoff Thunder match up against the playoff Warriors. I feel like if the Thunder don't bring their A game every single game, if Russ and KD don't perform like they have been against the Spurs, they've been playing lights out, then I think the Warriors are just going to win this series easily, not going to lie. It may end up being, I predict a 4-2 for the Warriors. I think the OKC can take a couple of games probably at home, but I think the Warriors have their number this year, and I don't think they can keep up with just the firepower that the Warriors offer. So that's going to be interesting to see. As far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, the Cavaliers are pretty much just waiting on whoever wins between Miami and Toronto. I personally want Miami to win because I want to see the whole drama between LeBron going back to Miami after last year going back to Cleveland. So that's going to, or not last year, the year before. To me, that's going to be the more interesting storyline to me. But the Toronto Raptors play against Miami, play against Cleveland. Now, I think Cleveland's just going to steamroll them like they have against my Pistons and the Atlanta Hawks. I think it's just going to be maybe a 4-0 sweep, maybe a 4-1 sweep. I don't think the Raptors match up well against Cleveland, personally. I just think there's too much firepower on offense for the Toronto Raptors to really keep up with. Plus, the Raptors haven't been impressing me that much. You either get either Lowry or DeRozan going off. It's now both of them, and they just haven't looked impressive. Having to go to overtime to really the low scoring overtime with that. It hasn't even hit 100 points, but having to go against Miami and then just struggling in general against other teams, it just doesn't look good for the Raptors against the Cavs if they happen to beat the Heat. But anyways, let's switch gears now to the NFL and the injury news, or actually not injury news, but retirement news. Another retirement on the list. This time, not too much of a famous person, but Ricardo Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks. He plays wide receiver. He is actually retiring today. He has suffered a neck injury against the Dallas Cowboys, I believe, on the special teams play. I think Jeff Heath, pushed him to the ground or something like that. Something happened, and he suffered a neck injury. And because of that, a lot of people had speculated that he played his last snap, his last down in the NFL, and it certainly became the case. He announces his retirement today. From people from here at the Phoenix Pals, we wish you the best of luck in your recovery. Sorry to hear that. He was actually a pretty good receiver for the Seahawks, and it just sucks that his career had to end up on the short side of things. But like I said, we hope for the best with Ricardo going forward. Now let's get into where we are going to be extremely excited, and that is the Madden NFL 17 cover athlete reveal. And the cover athlete this year is Rob Gronkowski of the New England Patriots. Yes, that's right. The Gronk spike has returned to the Madden, not return, but he makes his presence known on the Madden cover of Madden NFL 17. So congratulations to Rob Gronkowski and the New England Patriots organization on this. I'm pretty sure all parties, including the guys at EA, are very excited to have Gronk actually be a part of the cover athlete and have them represented for the game. But so the thing is with me is the cover athlete usually determines what is the most overpowered / what is the most broken mechanic of the game. And not to sound super negative about it, but usually this is the trend that happens. If we go back to when I first started getting serious about Madden, and that was in Madden 25, that featured two athletes, which were Barry Sanders and Adrian Peterson. And unfortunately for the Madden NFL 25, the run game was very overpowered. Strong power out of pistol runs were just basically overpowered. Stretch plays, the buck sweep, the read option was extremely powerful in that game. And as a result, that became the most overpowered thing in the game, besides a couple of other deficiencies here and there. Then we head on to Madden 15 with Richard Sherman and the Legion of Boom on the cover of Madden. And for those that don't know anything about the Seahawks and what they play a lot of cover 3. So guess what people started to do, and what was the best thing in the game was cover 3. Cover 3 was pretty much the answer to anything and everything. So it played literally everything. It played the seams, which it shouldn't. It played outside. It played inside. It played everything that it was meant to play, and it was just awfully ridiculous. To me, that was probably one of the most. That probably was the worst Madden I played, in my honest opinion. Just because you could just sit in cover 3 and not really call anything else, and not to mention the zone deficiencies too. With that being said, but in the meantime, in between time, now you have Odell Beckham Jr. Madden NFL 16. He's the current cover. Now he's now going to be considered the past cover athlete now. And obviously, for those Madden players that know what I'm about to say very well, the most overpowered / broken thing in the game is the aggressive catch mechanic, where everybody and their grandmother can do the OBJ one-hand spec catch that he did against the Cowboys. Everybody can do it. Don't matter what your size is, don't matter how tall you are, don't matter how short you are, you yourself can overpower a defensive back that's probably one of the best defensive backs in the game, and literally one-hand spec catch just like OBJ. So now we have Gronkowski. Now the question is, the thing that for me that is difficult to pinpoint about Gronkowski is trying to figure out the mechanic that best works in tandem with Gronk. And to me, the only thing I can think of is just in the end zone, like end zone fades, or maybe like a tight end fade or something like that, stick and knot or something like that. That's probably going to be the more overpowered mechanic in the game, because quite frankly, it's not as simple as, like I said, like OBJ who did a one-hand spec and then aggressive catching. It's not like Ray Lewis and back in 05 where hit sticks were just running rampant and everybody could just lay the boom, which I kind of miss, by the way. It's not like the Legion of Boom and Richard Sherman in 15 where cover 3 was probably the most. It's difficult, it's really, really difficult to determine what exactly is going to be the I guess the overpowered, the OP thing in the game. So it's gonna be interesting to see, and I think they did a very good job selecting around, because like I said, that offers that kind of curiosity, like, well, yeah, he's a tight end, he can catch, he's the best tight end in the game. Obviously, maybe tight ends are overpowered, we don't know for sure, but that's gonna be interesting for more developments in the future. But speaking of what we have right now, the news, we have a little bit of a description about Madden 17. That I'm going to read to you guys, and hopefully you guys kind of get my takes and feels on about the game as this news is brought to me. So it says right here, take your team all the way in Madden NFL 17 with new and immersive features in the deepest franchise mode to date, putting you at the center of your team's championship run. Arm your team for gridiron glory on both sides of the ball with innovative ball carrier feedback cues, defender fake out mechanics, and a new authentic defensive AI system. Pause right there. Let's just stop right there. So for me, the thing that stands out to me is the innovative ball carrier feedback cues. Now, if you didn't play Madden 16 and you were playing the past Maddens, you really didn't get much of a feedback cue about what to do when the ball is in the air. In 16, basically, whenever you throw the ball, you basically kind of get like this little prompt that says either A, possession catcher, which gain like a little bit of yards, rat catcher, which means when you hit the open field, you get turned up the field for additional yards, or you can aggressive catch it, which means you check up a lob streak and you literally jump up and catch the ball against the defensive back. Now this time they have ball carrier feedback cue, so I guess I'm trying to figure out if that means that when you're in the open field, or like say you get a handoff from a running back, does it prompt you to do something like, press A to like stiff arm, press B to spin, or does it depend on the player? Does it depend on the situation? Does it, like for power backs, if I had like an Alfred Morris or like a very strong power back, right? And I get the handoff, is it going to tell me to juke? Is it going to tell me to flick the right stick up to truck? Is it going to, like, how is this feedback cue going to like happen? And I guess with more developments on the way, but that's just something that stands out to me. The next one that stands out says defender fake out mechanics. Now in 16 we had like the double juke and everything like that, and it was pretty effective, not gonna lie. It was more effective than it in my mind should have been, but now it's gonna be, we have new mechanics for it, and I'm very kind of curious on that one. It kind of gives me a little bit of a question mark over my head. Like if you had like a thought bubble, I have like maybe a couple of question marks about it, because in 16 it was to the point where if you juke, if it was a one-on-one, you could juke somebody out of their shoes. But the problem is you had like maybe 2 or 3 defenders coming at you, and you do a juke move, and all 3 of them ankles are broken, which made zero sense. Like there was no communication with the defensive players, like, hey, you go left, I go right, I take the middle, or something like that. So this is going to be interesting to see how that's going to be. And then the thing that stands out the most to me, the new authentic defensive AI system, which to me means a lot and says a lot, because the defense in this past Madden, or this current Madden and in past Madden since maybe 25, has been horrendous. Maybe in 15 because of, like I said, cover 3 answers all, you didn't have to worry about too much. But in 16, the defense was absolutely bad. Except for a couple of things here and there. You play quarters man 3 deep, and you literally can stop everything without even having to do anything, which was ridiculous. But more on that later on. But for the most part, zone, I'm guessing it means, especially in zone coverage, because zone coverage was terrible. Zone coverage didn't, like, for the flats, you play the flats, they go up like 15 yards up the field, like they weren't supposed to. Purples or buzz zones did not work. Yellows played okay. Deep blues get lost, especially in cover 4, with specific route combos that would literally, in the cover 4, let's say the route combos were to the right side, the left safety in a deep fourth would bite down on a play action fake and literally stand there as the receivers got behind them 90% of the time with these, or actually 100% of the time with certain route combos, and literally were one play touchdowns. So I'm guessing, hopefully, keyword being hopefully, that one play touchdowns are essentially eliminated from the game unless you have a complete hole in zone coverage or man coverage, or whatever the case may be. And same thing with man coverage. Man coverage was good, actually maybe too good, because the receivers could not shake the defensive backs no matter who it was. You could have a high speed wide receiver and they could not shake, for instance, a Deshaun Jackson could not burn a Sean Smith. Deshaun Jackson sometimes could not burn a Brandon Browner, because of the mechanics of the game and how good man-to-man coverage was. So this is going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the developments of this one. And obviously more developments by the developers will be on the way, blog posts and, articles and things like that. So we'll see. But I'm very, very skeptical about this. Continuing on the reading here, driven by the most balanced gameplay yet, along with fun and fresh ways to play mode such as Ultimate Team and Draft Champions, Madden NFL 17 is the most complete Madden ever. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this kind of gets a broken record here, but I'm very skeptical Very, very skeptical. Like I said, I'm one of those guys that I have to see it to believe it, and actually get my hands on it. I wish I was. I wish I was more. I don't want to say popular, but I wish I had access to EA, or not really access to EA, but more all along the lines of I wish I could have got invited down to EA to try out the game and provide feedback and stuff like that. I wish I was like one of those kind of people, but unfortunately I'm not. But I really wish I could see what exactly they have improved at a high level gameplay. Not what they usually tend to do is like release gameplay trailers or like games and it's kind of like low leveled and like kind of casual level. Like I have yet to see the game released at a high level, or trailers released at a high level, or gameplay or modes or matches played at a high level. So that's what I want to see the most out of anything. Going down to the features section of this, Madden NFL 17 unlocks the fun in the ground game, the area of the game most often used on offense, defense, or special teams, and rounds out your defensive air game supremacy perfected in past, or excuse me, defensive and air game supremacy perfected in past NFL titles. Anyways, ball carrier feedback system. New prompts and path assist help identify defensive threats and recommend special moves to elude any defender. So, like once again, I'm kind of curious on that, reviewing that. Like I said, is it going to tell me to juke? Is it going to tell me to like spin, stiff arm? I guess that's going to be up for later. Now we have pass rush and rush counters. So for me, let's stop right there before I read this. In the past few Maddens, actually, not even just going back to 16, but just in the past, the offensive line seems to always be at a disadvantage. In my mind, the offensive line was the weakest. Offensive line was the weakest group, I guess you want to call it, or weakest position in Madden, because the defensive line has so many mechanics that could beat the offensive line. And the offensive line literally just has slide left, slide right, max protect, and just pinch. And that's it. Like defensive line, you can spread, spread your D line, crash them right, left, contain. You could manually mash the button and get to the user, aka user D rush. You have put them in a spy. You can put them in zone coverage. Like I said, the options for the defensive line outweigh the options for the offensive line, and rightfully so. You know, the offensive line can't do a lot of things too much, but in terms of the blocking, you know, I feel like the offensive line has to get smarter, has to be more either consistent or just overall improved as far as blocking is, besides inside zone, fullback dive, and toss. Any other run, they tend to miss their blocks. They tend to veer off. They tend to go all sorts of ways. Their targeting is not correct. You know, the blocking itself, the way they execute the play itself is just not good. So hopefully, like I said, we see more improvements on the offensive line. But reading this section here of pass and rush counters, it says simplify play calling on defense. Think you know what your opponent is going to do, but don't know the defense information to stop it? Decide to defend the pass or run and let your defense do the rest. Featuring the most realistic defensive AI to date, grounded in current NFL strategies, all new gap play. Push your defenders in the box in position to stop the run up the middle while your zone defense delivers on pass coverage. So what it sounds to me is like, if you know your opponent's going to pass, it seems to me, it says simplify the play calling. So what it sounds like to me is, you know your opponent, it's 4th and 20. You know what's going to, it ain't no way nobody's going to be running inside zone. There's no way somebody's going to run toss or halfback dive or halfback base or strong power. Well, maybe they can get with a strong power, but there's no way that on 4th and 20, your opponent's going to be running the ball. So what it seems like to me is saying that when you hit, I guess maybe you hit a button that says like defend the pass or something like that, and it maybe automatically generates a play call for you or calls a play for you. So for instance, maybe like you say 4th and 20, play the pass, and maybe it comes up with like man up 3 deep or something like that, or maybe like quarters 3 deep, zone cover 2 sink or something like that. That's what it seems like to me. Like I said, more details on the way, but just like off initial impressions, that's the feeling that I'm getting. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm completely off, but like I said, it's something that, like I said, off rip, off jump, and off first impression, this is what that's what it translates to me as. Special teams. Welcome the excitement of special teams back to Madden NFL. The ability to ice the kicker matches the challenge in today's critical field goal attempts, while new elements of risk and reward through trick plays and block kicks can now change the outcome of any game in one play. Pause right there. Now, here's the first issue, and I never got clarification on the devs on this, and I don't think they ever explained on this, but why did we get rid of the squib kick in Madden 16? I never understood why they got rid of it. I thought it was something that was always implemented in the game, and then when I opened up Madden 16, I was like, yo, where's the squib kick? And it just it's not there. So maybe, hopefully that's back. I do like the ice the kicker option, though. I do like that for sure. I do like that feature because, like I said, you don't want your opponent just, to get an easy field goal. Like, maybe make it difficult. Maybe the kickers actually have a clutch trait. Maybe shake off the ice or something like that. Or just maybe if they don't have the clutch trait, maybe they're like rattled, or, the kick meter just like is wavy or something like that. It'll be very interesting to see. I miss it. I miss those days where, like, when you kick a field goal, they kind of get super close. Like the camera just pans in on like the kick itself and how far the ball goes, and it's just like slow motion, and it's just like kind of deal. So hopefully if they bringing that back, that'd be kind of dope here. The thing that bothers me the most about this particular section, in my opinions on this one, is the block kicks and trick plays. In Madden 16, the trick plays, mainly field goal, or not field goal, but fake punt pass, were very, very, very OP, especially in MUT, where you could put Tom Brady at punter that had literally probably maybe somewhat of some kick power, but can literally throw a strike to a cornerback, and literally the cornerback could catch that and run open in the field and stuff like that, and potentially get a first down and stuff like that. But by the way, too, a quick side note on that, hopefully I never see that again in Madden. I understand ultimate freeze opposition, fun stuff, but never again with that quarterback at punter. That to me was probably like one of the I don't know. To me, that was probably like a really bad idea, to be honest. But anyways, the main concern for me is the block kicks and trick plays. There is a field goal block glitch in Madden 16 that's running rampant in salary camp ranked, and just Madden Ultimate Team, and like just Madden in general, where people are blocking field goals off of a glitch. I don't know how it's performed, and even if I did know, I could not tell you. And I don't want to tell you because that'd be kind of ruining the game even more. But I'm very, very concerned about this one. I don't know if it's. I would have to see. I have to see what they're talking about, because that kind of concerns me as something that's a known issue in Madden, and seeing there's actually going to be a mechanic for it. I don't know. But the trick plays I did see from the trailer, though, by the way. Which we'll talk about talk about the trailer in a second here, but I did see like a trick play. It was like maybe like a fake field goal, and they tossed the ball to Gronk, and he's like running up the field and stuff like that. I hope those type of plays aren't as OP, and I hope those plays rarely work, because if they happen to be very good, and it's gonna be kind of interesting to see what people do on fourth down, and fake punt or fake pass or fake field goal pass it, or whatever the case may be. Like, I hope that's not the case, but we'll see what happens here. And then the rest of the article just basically says Madden Ultimate Team draft champions, and just gives a little blurbs about that being coming back into Madden 17. So that's it for the article. Like I said, overall, I like what the language is saying, but I'm one of those see it to believe it. And like I said, I'm pretty sure there's going to be updates in the upcoming weeks and stuff like that, showing off gameplay, showing off the mechanics, showing off other things, as well as probably like developer blogs and stuff like that, which I'm looking forward to as well. Love information like that. Keeps me very curious. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of where this episode is going to be about. And to me, this is probably the most interesting thing that I've heard on a Madden cover athlete reveal day, or day one of information. And there's a radio program out there, SimStandard, I believe, or Sim Talk Radio, or SimStandard, and basically those guys are like CFM guys. Those guys are very simulation based. They're all about the simulation, making the game realistic as possible, all that stuff. So Rex Dickson actually called into the show And the guys over there were kind of giving Rex an interview, talking to him about the reveal dates and stuff like that. They seem like pretty good guys. But I took some notes on this one, and I actually wanted to quote Rex and the guys on a couple of things here. Some of this is kind of paraphrasing, so bear in mind. But this was kind of probably the most interesting thing I've heard about the development of the game. Not only just that, but about the trailer that came out. So here we go. So basically, if you haven't watched the trailer yet, it's basically not that long. It was supposed to, I guess, originally be like, oh, showing off the gameplay, but it turned out to be something completely different. It just shows Gronkowski receiving the ball and just running up the field, jumping, doing some moves, and then that's it. So for me personally, I was disappointed. I was like, yo, that's it. I thought it was gonna be like maybe like 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes about new gameplay feature, this gap blocking or gap something about zone blocking and stuff like that. I was expecting that, but then it didn't work out the way I was. So anyways, onward to the interview here. Rex called the show, and they were talking to him, and basically his thing was that basically, and I paraphrase here, this first shot, meaning the trailer, is not for the core community. So for guys like myself that play the game a lot, or the hardcore guys, this trailer was basically not for us. It says the way the logic works, the story is much larger and is much more comprehensive. There is a marketing mindset with the guys that work, that promote the game, that create the trailers and stuff like that, that they, as an EA, as marketing guys, feel like they have 5 to 6 million people that are going to buy the game every year. And their approach is that we got these guys. So the initial trailer that they're going to probably do, the cover vote, or the initial teaser like they did just now, the cover vote, even the E3 trailer that they're going to make, that they usually do every year, is not core directed. So for the hardcore guys, like I said, again, this is not directed at us. Do not take this with too much, do not put too much thought into these trailers. They're just, hey, here's the game, show off special moves and stuff like that. It's directed at bringing in new markets and bringing in casuals. Now, Rex says, I quote, I personally don't agree with this approach. Clint Oldenburg, by the way, have the approach that if you appeal to your core, so you basically direct the gameplay trailer at guys like myself, then the masses will follow. I actually like that strategy. But the guys at marketing and the guys that make are above Rex's pay grade are saying that we have, and I quote, we have to make this game more approachable and more accessible for casuals. And Rex says, as frustrating for you guys as frustrating as it was for you guys to see that trailer and be like, that wasn't even 5% of what they've done. Think about how frustrating it was for us who built all this amazing, crazy content, and marketing just wants to show off some crazy, snazzy special moves. It's supremely frustrating for us, but you have to go into the mindset that it's not for you. It's for someone else who has a completely different mindset for the game. So basically what he's saying is, like I said, there's a little power struggle, or a little bit of a struggle between what the guy, Rex, Clint, and those guys at the development team want to put out there, and what the marketing team thinks is great for the game. So there was a question asked, and basically the question was, if that was the case, then why not create a completely different trailer for the core guys, the hardcore guys? Even if it was like 3 to 5 seconds of each thing, each new feature, which satisfies the people that they're going for. So basically what he's saying is, why didn't Rex and the guys come up with a different trailer? Like, you had the Gronkowski trailer, he's running up the field, but then have another trailer that kind of displays, the new features, and it kind of goes in depth about what those are. So Rex answers and says, they, as in marketing, feel their feeling is, how do you show off something like gap play in a trailer and have people understand what it is? How do you show off zone concepts or pattern matching? When we talk about this stuff to marketing, in a lot of cases, it goes over their heads, and they're like, quote, super quote, oh, the gameplay guys are talking about football stuff again, end quote. The only thing they can latch on to and what they understand, which is, oh, you did ball carrier moves, oh, you did stiff arms, oh, we can show the hell out of that. So that's how it kind of goes down. Even if I was to try to build an external trailer that kind of solves some of the stuff we did on defense and offense with the zone blocking and all that other stuff, it's tough to get those things in the trailer because they're very core football. They're very authentic, very technical, and even if you were to get a highlight out of that, the ability for a user to take that highlight and translate back into, oh, that was gap play, is probably not going to happen. But the top 10% would understand. So basically, what he's saying is that, yeah, they could show it, but only a certain number of hardcore guys or guys that are really knowledgeable about football and stuff like that would be able to kind of decipher what's going on. Everybody else would kind of just be lost in the sauce, pretty much. One of the comments that one of the guys that were interviewing Rex was saying that I liked was that he said that he would have loved to see he would have to love marketing to get behind Rex and the development team and show kind of like a comparison of how Madden 16 used to be, or like say for instance they were showing off the zone coverage. So they would show like a instance where Madden 16, like how the zone was in Madden 16, and then show off how it's improved in 17. And I guess they go down. I guess these guys have been down to EA before or been to EA recently, and I guess there's like presentations that kind of showed that, or special presentations that kind of give an idea of like how the game's improved. And one of the comments, or they were saying that they would have loved to see it reach out to the public so that way we know, because like I said, a lot of us don't get invited down to EA. Unfortunately, it's only a hand select number of groups, game changers, big time YouTubers that promote the game, and maybe like a couple of members of the stream team here and there. But for somebody like myself, I'm not a person that gets invited down to EA. Unfortunately, the only thing I can do is provide feedback over social media, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and now this. So that's my only best avenue of kind of getting feedback to those guys. And then when the information comes out, I know like the rest of the pretty much the rest of the Madden community, but only those select guys that get down invited to EA probably have way better knowledge about the game and what it entails than what I do. So that's pretty much what he's coming at here. So in response to that, Rex was saying that Rex and them care about seeing the content that they create. There have been times, and I quote, times when I begged marketing something like, please let me run the creative for the trailer. I know I have more important things to worry about building trailers, obviously. Somebody always reminds Rex that, and I quote, Rex, your value is much more better place working on the game, getting the bugs out, tuning and balancing. I don't want you worrying about these trailers. Now, this upcoming quote that I'm going to read is probably the most interesting thing I've ever heard Rex say. At least one. Actually, no, it's not probably the most. It's probably one of the most interesting things that I've heard Rex say, especially on an interview. And it is this, and I quote, with the right people in place, he's talking about marketing and trailers. With the right people in place, Madden should easily be able to build a trailer that rivals the Battlefield 1 trailer that you guys saw. We should easily be able to build a trailer to rival the 2K Momentous trailer. I'll say it right now. I think that if I compare 2K's trailer compared to what we put out last year, they crushed us. It was much better creative. It was much more emotional. It was shot better. I understood the intent of it better. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, is when 17 ships, it's the best game possible, end quote. So that was actually interesting to get that kind of openness from the creative director of Madden, saying 2K crushed them as far as trailers are concerned. And rightfully so. If I remember 2K's trailer correctly, 2K is always good with just trailers and just shots and things like that. Usually, like Madden, I remember Madden 16 trailer. I did like when you had, I think, Gronk, Pat Pete, Antonio Brown, and Odell Beckham just coming out in shadow, and they do like a little clip of what they can do. That was pretty cool. I would like the song too, even though the song in reality was terrible, but the song, at least when I listened to the full version of the song, was terrible. The parts that they did play was pretty dope. But that's interesting that he himself, the creative director of Madden NFL himself, admitted that 2K crushed him. That to me is mind blowing. Usually you don't hear that stuff out of the development teams, but Rex is very open. He's very accessible. He's very open. So that was interesting for him to see that. Like I said, reading all of this and quoting all this and hearing that from the interview kind of brings a new light of how the development of Madden is going. Like I said, personally, I would love to go to EA and see for myself, like how the development cycle is, and get an idea of how it's made, and like I said, get a better understanding of it. But like I said, until I get invited down there, I cannot. I guess I can only speculate. But hearing this definitely sheds a new light on things about the process. So one of the guys asked if there was anything to address in the community about Madden 17, and Rex said, "What you saw today was a very superficial look. Several major changes that we haven't even talked about today are coming, and they aren't insignificant changes. They are major bomb drops, major systems, and pieces of the game that are changing fundamentally. Today is not the story. There's a lot more announcements coming." So another thing he says is that he looks forward to the day he looks forward to the most is the developers blog. So Clint Oldenburg apparently has written an 8-page blog about the ground game and all the components and elements within it. You heard the announcement. They worked on ball carrier special moves. The real story is zone blocking and gap play. So remember those two things from Madden 17 this year: zone blocking and gap play. This is my personal sign up. But anyways, and I quote, "which fundamentally alters the entire running game in Madden. The real story is ball carrier locomotion, and the way it feels to run and slide through the line. The stories will bubble up, and it is much more than the superficial stuff we talked about today. Stories will be coming out in 2 to 3 weeks." So that is all the notes I have out of that interview, and that was pretty much the end of the interview itself. But it sounds like to me that this is going to be interesting with these at least off when I can read off the initial impressions until I can see gameplay. Initially, this sounds good. Maybe they've got it right, maybe. But until I see like I said, I have to see it to believe it. But I think honestly they're heading in the right step, and obviously they know the issues, and whether or not, we'll have to see. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. We'll have to see like how these developments go, how these stories. I honestly look forward to that dev blog that Clint's gonna run. I'm going to read that to a T and just understand, how 17 is going to be working and stuff like that. Cannot wait for that. And like I said, when more new features come up, we will talk about this on the show. Like I said, this show is going to be released every weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, around that time, one of those days, expect a new podcast episode, kind of giving you an idea of what the new features are and kind of giving my takes on it. But like I said, this is very good. And like I said, reading the GameStop online features, and then like I said, hearing and taking notes about what Rex was actually saying was very, very interesting. So I look forward to that. But in the meantime, in the between time, this is going to end episode 2. Appreciate you guys for listening. Make sure to follow the channel or follow the show, so that way you get notifications on when it goes live and when I update. And like I said, follow me on Twitter for more updates and stuff like that. For the YouTube crowd, I'm going to start putting these more on YouTube as the episodes kind of pile up, so expect those in the meantime in place of the playbook breakdown. So on that note, guys, I will see you guys in the next episode, and I will talk to you guys later. 5Gs, y'all. Peace.